Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome in here to a little video update on the winter storm that we're expecting to impact the state pretty much from tonight all the way through very early Thursday morning. Once again, welcome in here. It is Tuesday afternoon, February 11th, just a couple minutes after 2:20 p.m. And we're just going to have a little brief discussion here, a little update, give you some visuals and some new information that we're looking at here regarding that storm system, like I said, that we're going to have moving in here. It's going to bring winter weather impacts to the state pretty much from overnight tonight all the way through the very, very early morning hours on your Thursday. So kicking things off here, I want to start off with a view of the large-scale weather pattern that we have ongoing across North America with this storm system. So what we have going on here is up here, this is Canada, up north here, this is Canada, and up north in Canada, very close to the Hudson Bay. This is the Hudson Bay of Canada up here, very large body of water up there. Very close to there, we have this upper level low known as a TPV. Essentially, it is the lower atmospheric portion of the polar vortex. So, every year we have the big talk about the polar vortex. Well, the polar vortex is actually something that's well aloft up in the stratosphere, so way up in the atmosphere. But we do have surface-reaching portions of the stratospheric polar vortex, and that is known as the TPV, or the tropospheric polar vortex. That's the more lower level version of that, and that is centered up here near the Hudson Bay, and that's kind of driving, part of what's driving this weather pattern. So we have that big upper level low near the Hudson Bay right now, and what we're watching for is out here in the western United States here, there are a couple of different disturbances here. There's a bigger, more potent one coming through the Washington State and Idaho region. There's one down here coming towards the Baja of California, extending up into California as well. And these disturbances out here moving into the western United States are what is going to drive our winter storm as they kind of eject out into the central United States. And what's going to happen here is these disturbances are going to interact with this big upper level low, that tropospheric lower level portion of that polar vortex. Kind of has an arm extending out here. You can kind of see that here within these height lines here. So as I go forward in time with this map here, what you're going to see happen is this arm is going to swing here. You can see that upper level low still up here in Canada. That arm with these disturbances is going to swing off towards the east here. And that's kind of the interaction we're going to be looking at with those disturbances in the west coast, that big upper level low up across Canada. Those two features are going to interact here as this kind of an arm-like feature, we'll just put it that way, continues to shift off towards the east. So that interaction between that TPV, the lower level polar vortex up near the Hudson Bay in Canada, and these disturbances coming in from the western United States, that is what develops our storm system and brings us our winter storm coming up from tonight through the day on Wednesday and into early Thursday. So let's take a look, first of all, give you an idea of some timing of what we're going to be seeing here. So regarding timing, not much going on during the day today. There are a couple of snow showers ongoing here, not shown on this map. There are a couple of snow showers across northeastern Illinois. That's actually a little bit of light lake effect snow shower activity. I know it's not on this map here, but there are a couple of lake effect snow showers ongoing this afternoon across northeastern Illinois. And down here across southern Illinois, we do have some residual snow flurries, snow showers, maybe a little bit of drizzle falling. That's with the storm system that affected southern Illinois last night and into this morning. Brought a little bit of ice, a little bit of snow, some rain to southern Illinois overnight and into this morning. And that storm system, that overrunning event, pretty much a disturbance that moved through, is now sliding off towards the east. So right now, there's not too much going on. Now, as we shift into tonight, you're going to notice a lot of blue starting to show up on the map out here across Iowa, Missouri, and back further to the west as well. That's going to be our storm system. Remember, I mentioned those disturbances out in the western United States right now. Those disturbances are going to start to slide off towards the east into the central U.S. tonight. Those disturbances are going to interact with that big upper level low in Canada, and we're going to start to see some interaction between the two, and that's going to drive the development of our storm system as we head into tonight. So you can see a lot of snow developing out here to the west of the state overnight tonight, and as we approach midnight, maybe 3 a.m. time frame, we might start to see some of that snow trying to move into western and northwestern Illinois. Maybe as early as 11 o'clock, but more so midnight, 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. We'll start to see that snow move into western portions of the state here. And as we carry on into the morning rush hour, this is right around 6, 7 o'clock in the morning. You can see that snow really starting to expand in across a much larger portion of northern and west central Illinois for the Wednesday morning rush hour. So if you're headed out to work or to school Wednesday morning, you're going to have to contend with some snow already falling out there for places like up towards Dubuque, maybe as far east as Rockford, down towards the Quad Cities area, Quincy, Galesburg, the Macomb areas. You all should be seeing snow by the time we get to the morning rush hour period on Wednesday. And as we push deeper into Wednesday morning, this is right around 9 o'clock in the morning for your day on Wednesday here. You can see we're seeing snow now across much of northern and central Illinois by that point in time. The darker the blue, the heavier the snow. So you can see we have probably some more moderate snow going on here mid to late morning on Wednesday. Some heavier snow just to the west of the St. Louis area out there across Missouri. Heading into the lunchtime hour, midday Wednesday, you can see it is snowing across the entirety of northern and central Illinois by midday on Wednesday. Another thing you'll notice here is this reddish color here. This is going to be a transition line down here south of the I-72 corridor to down closer to the I-70 corridor. If you are in those areas down here, you folks are going to be in that transition zone. That means you're going to be seeing a mixture of rain, freezing rain, sleet, maybe some pellets and some snow down across this corridor. So this is going to be a very messy corridor where you see several different precipitation types. Now, as we push deeper into Wednesday afternoon, this is right around 3 p.m. Wednesday afternoon. So just starting the Wednesday afternoon and evening rush hour period, it is snowing quite well. Probably could be seeing some moderate to maybe even some heavy snow for portions of northern and central Illinois as we head through Wednesday afternoon. Once again, you're still dealing with that transition zone down here from near the St. Louis area up through roughly towards the Effingham areas as well, maybe up towards, maybe as far north as Champaign and Danville as well. Now, as we head into Wednesday evening here, still going to be snowing. Look at all this blue. Still here across much of northern and central Illinois. Maybe some moderate to heavy snow at times still into Wednesday evening here. We still have that transition zone with that mixture of precipitation, rain, freezing rain, sleet, pellets, snow down there across portions of the southern end of central Illinois and the northern end of southern Illinois where that mixture of precipitation is going to be. And then as we head into Wednesday night, this is right around 9 p.m., it is still snowing across parts of northern and central Illinois here. And then as we head towards midnight and then eventually towards 3 a.m., you can see we start to dry out here and this storm system rapidly moves off towards the east. So by the time we get to the morning rush hour on Thursday, it should be mostly dry by the time we get to the morning rush hour on Thursday. So if you're traveling, first off, if you're traveling, the morning rush hour on Wednesday is going to be impacted out here across northwestern and western Illinois. The morning rush hour is going to be dicey. And then for pretty much all of central and northern Illinois, you'll have travel issues for the afternoon and evening rush hour on Wednesday. But once again, the good news is by the time we get to the Thursday morning rush hour, this storm system has moved off towards the east, and most areas should be dry, maybe a couple of lingering snow flurries across parts of northeastern or eastern Illinois. Now, in terms of accumulations, uh, let's take a look at our updated snowfall forecast to start here. So this is our snowfall forecast. We just issued this just a couple of hours ago, so this morning. And as you can see here, we are expecting anywhere from 2 to 5 inches of snow across a large portion of northern and central Illinois. This dark blue color, you're going to be seeing 2 to 5 inches of snow places like Rockford, Kankakee, Ottawa, parts of the western and southern Chicago suburbs down towards Bloomington, Peoria, Springfield, Quincy. All of you folks in this dark blue color, that's 2 to 5 inches of snow. Also, you'll notice up here across northwestern Illinois, this pink sort of color, that's where we could be seeing 4 to 7 inches of snow. Places like the Quad Cities, up towards Freeport, up towards the Dubuque-Galena area, 4 to 7 inches of snow, maybe locally higher. Another area you might notice here in that pink color is up here across northeastern Illinois, parts of the Chicago metro area, from pretty much downtown Chicago, Cook County, up towards O'Hare Airport in northern Cook County, and then up into parts of Lake County, places like the Waukegan, Gurnee area. You folks could also see 4 to 7 inches of snow, and that is going to be because we're going to be dealing with some lake enhancement to the snowfall up across those areas. With this storm system, we're going to be dealing with winds that are going to be northeasterly across this area of northeastern Illinois. So we are expecting lake enhancement to the snowfall across this area, which is why we have that pink color, which signifies, depicts 4 to 7 inches of snow for those areas. Then, down here across parts of southern and central Illinois, you'll see this gradient. This is where we're going to be dealing with a mixture of precipitation. This is where that mix is going to be. You'll get some snow, you'll get some pellets, you'll get some sleet, you'll get some freezing rain, and you'll get some rain down across these areas. So this gradient is going to be something to watch, because oftentimes with these gradients, a lot of times they end up being very, very sharp. So yes, right now the gradient is fairly loosely depicted here, but do not be surprised if this gradient actually ends up being much sharper than depicted. The weather models could only see, the weather forecast guidance only sees to a certain resolution. So these gradients oftentimes end up being much sharper than they are depicted. So if you're anywhere within this gradient zone, don't be surprised if this gradient ends up much tighter than is depicted here, and you end up with several different precipitation types in this corridor. Now, in addition to the snow, sleet, and the ice pellets, another thing we're going to be dealing with is the possibility for a little bit of freezing rain as well. So this is our freezing rain forecast, and as you can see here, from very close to the Champaign-Danville area to the north end of the St. Louis metro area, and then from down around the Carbondale area, working up to the Indiana border. All along this corridor, that is where you could see pretty much a glaze up to 1/10 of an inch of ice accumulation. And it is possible that there may be some locally higher ice totals over 1/10 of an inch somewhere in that corridor, but roughly a glaze to 1/10 of an inch of ice accumulation looks quite likely down here in this corridor. Like I said, roughly from the northern St. Louis metro area up towards Danville, and then pretty much from Carbondale to the Indiana border here. This is the corridor we're mostly going to be looking for that generalized glaze to 1/10 of an inch of ice accumulation. Now, I know we've been seeing a lot of talk on our recent forecast post on our social media pages of, oh, you guys are wrong, the forecast has changed. You have to remember, forecasts are ever changing. We have the ability to change our forecast, and everyone else has the ability to change their forecast all the way up until the storm begins. And the storm is not beginning until overnight tonight. So, you know, we updated our forecast this morning. We will update it one more time as we go into tonight as well. Now, if you want to compare our forecast, so this is our new forecast. This is the one that we just issued this morning. And if you want to compare that to our forecast from yesterday, and you will see here, yes, we have made some changes. The most notable change is that we removed the 4 to 7 inch corridor from central Illinois. And we have added a 4 to 7 inch corridor across northwestern Illinois. And you might be asking why we did that. Why make that change? It's not a significant change because the difference between 2 to 5 and 4 to 7 inches of snow, the difference is only 2 inches. So the change was not all that big, but why did we make this change and remove that 4 to 7 inch range from central Illinois and cut it back to 2 to 5 inches? Well, I'm going to show you why we made that change. And we made that change because the weather forecast guidance has actually cut back on the precipitation totals. So this was with the weather models, this is the European model that we're looking at here. So this is one of the runs, because they run every 6 hours. So this was from Sunday night. This was from Monday morning, so yesterday morning. And you'll notice it was depicting all these blue colors here, these dark green colors. That's anywhere from 4/10 to 7/10 of an inch of liquid available to get snowfall here on the European model. And what happened was, as we went through the day yesterday and into last night, look what happened. We lost all those dark green and blue colors here, and you end up with these lighter green colors, which are now 2/10 to 4/10 of an inch of liquid for snowfall. So essentially what happens is the weather guidance backed off on the strength of the storm system. It's a weaker storm system now, and thus they backed off on the available precipitation, the available liquid that's going to be available to make that snowfall. So once again, this is what the European model looked like Sunday night and Monday morning as it was coming in. You could see it was very moist looking here. That is why we had that corridor of heavier snowfall totals here expected across some areas. But now, as we've gone through time, the models have weakened this storm system a little bit, and thus they have also cut back on the potential precipitation amounts. So that is why we removed that 4 to 7 inch range corridor. So let's flip back over to our snowfall map here. So that is why this corridor here, you can see it. That is why we have removed this 4 to 7 inch range here. And as we flip over to our new forecast, you can see that was replaced with 2 to 5 inches instead. That is because the weather models, they come out every 6 hours with new information. They have trended downward with the precipitation totals. Thus, that's why we went from 4 to 7 inches of snow being possible across that corridor to now only 2 to 5 inches of snow. But once again, it is not a big change. It's only a 2-inch difference. 2 to 5 inches to 4 to 7 inches, it's only a 2 inch range difference. So overall, that was not a big change. Another thing you'll notice is, once again, we have raised snowfall totals out here across northwestern Illinois. And we could compare that to our previous forecast. You could see we bumped those totals from 2 to 5 inches to 4 to 7 inches. And you might be thinking, well, wait a second. The weather models have cut back on the amount of precipitation available, so why are you increasing snowfall totals for some areas? The simple answer to that is because the atmospheric conditions out across northwestern Illinois, with the storm system trending weaker, are for atmospheric temperatures to be a little bit colder. And now it looks like the air temperatures throughout the atmospheric column from the surface up to a certain point in the atmosphere are going to be in the DGZ. That is the dendritic growth zone. That is where the big snowflakes, those big fluffy dendrite snowflakes develop. So now we're going to have a deep, large portion of the atmosphere up across northwestern Illinois that is going to be in this favorable range for that those dendrites to form. So that means the snow is going to be fluffier out there across northwestern Illinois, and fluffier snow accumulates more efficiently than wet snow. Wet snow, we all know it, it's like cement, it's very compacting, whereas those dendrites, those fluffy snowflakes, really fluff up and accumulate much more efficiently. So even though we've seen a decrease in the amount of precipitation available for snow, which is once again why we cut snowfall totals just by 2 inches across central Illinois, because of that slightly weaker storm system allowing for slightly cooler temperatures aloft to get those fluffy dendrite snowflakes to form, it is going to fluff up a little bit more on lower precipitation totals across northwestern Illinois. And I could actually show you what I am exactly talking about here when it comes to the growth zone for snowfall here. So let's flip back over here. So what we like to look at when it comes to any kind of weather, snow or severe weather, is we look at these atmospheric soundings. So this is a look into one of the weather models. I clicked on one point in the map. This is out towards the Dubuque area in northwestern Illinois near the Galena area. And this gives us a look at the atmospheric profile, the temperature, the moisture values, the winds, the shear throughout the atmospheric profile from the surface all the way to 15,000 feet, 15 kilometers, I should say, above the surface here. And what we like to look at for snowfall development is somewhere roughly between these lines here. So this is negative 20 degrees Celsius, and this is negative 10 degrees Celsius. Roughly in between that range is where we start to see those big fluffy snowflakes, those dendrites form. And as you can see here, this is your, let me take this off here. This is your temperature and moisture profile right here, temperature and dew point. So this is a very moist profile here. So you're going to have very, very deep snow growth all the way, especially through this point of the atmosphere here, from all the way up from 500 millibars all the way down to the surface. That is very deep DGZ is what we call it. That's where you get those big fluffy dendrites to form, those big fluffy snowflakes, and they accumulate very, very efficiently. So this is a very, 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 very deep DGZ from the surface all the way up through 500 millibars, which is roughly, let's just say, around 5,000, 5 kilometers up into the atmosphere, I should say. So this is a very deep DGZ, and when we see that, it automatically tells us, hey, you're going to be dealing with those very fluffy dendrite snowflakes. They accumulate very efficiently. So once again, that's why we have increased snowfall totals out across northwestern Illinois, and that's to account for those forecast weather soundings showing a deeper DGZ, which means we're going to get that fluffier snow out there across western Illinois. So even though we're seeing precipitation totals that have cut back, we'll be able to still fluff up those lower precipitation totals quite a bit out there across northwestern Illinois to get you into that 4 to 7 inch snowfall range. So a lot to unpack there, a lot to go on here, but in general, for the most part, everything is pretty much on track. 2 to 5 to 4 to 7 inches of snow across much of northern and a good chunk of central Illinois as well. And then once again, we're going to be dealing with that gradient down here across portions of central and southern Illinois. Along that gradient, that's where you're going to be dealing with the potential for a mixture of precipitation types across those areas. Once again, a mixture of precipitation types across those areas: snow, sleet, some pellets, freezing rain, and as you go far enough south, it'll turn to rain. If you're in places like far southern tip of Illinois towards the Paducah area, the Marion area, this is going to be an all-rain event for you folks down there. Can't rule out maybe an isolated thunderstorm as well down there across far southern Illinois. So with that said, enough of me rambling here. Let's get over to some of those comments and questions, because I know I did see several of those flowing through here. So let's scroll up here. David checking in, going to be traveling from Spencer, Iowa. That's up there in the northern heart of the state of Iowa over towards Toledo. You most definitely are going to be feeling those impacts from the snow all across Iowa along that travel, and even across portions of Illinois for some of your travel as well. So going to be dealing with that. Ed checking in from Pontiac. We have you in the 2 to 5 inch area right now. Noemi checking in from Galesburg. We have you very close to that 2 to 5, 4 to 7 inch range. Very close. Nick's wondering about school closings. Really, it's hard to talk about school closings these days because not many schools actually fully close down anymore. Most schools for snow days, they just switch over to e-learning days now. And each school district has their own guidelines. You know, across southern Illinois, where you don't often see as much snow as you would in northern Illinois during a typical winter. I know this winter has been a little different. But, you know, southern Illinois has different guidelines than northern Illinois districts for school closing. So it's really hard to say, hey, you know, you might see some school closing. Some area might have e-learning days. It's really hard to say those things in this day and age. Steven checking in from the Chicago Loop. Could be some lake enhancement into the downtown Chicago area. We kind of have you right on that border of the 4 to 7 inch range and the 2 to 5 inch range in the downtown Chicago area. The chance for lake enhancement will actually increase as you move north of downtown Chicago up into northeastern Cook County into Lake County, Illinois, and then also up towards the Racine, Kenosha areas of Wisconsin as well. You'll start to see that lake enhancement up across that area. John checking in, wondering if this is going to be a fluffy or wet snow. If you're further south, especially down here across parts of central Illinois and closer to that gradient, it's going to be a wetter snow down across central Illinois. But up here across northwestern Illinois, it's going to be a fluffier snow. We're going to have those dendrite snowflakes, as I mentioned. So up north, fluffy snow. Down south, it will be a wet snow. Alex wondering, how is it a storm when you're predicting 2 inches of snow? Once we start to get towards that 6-inch range, if we're predicting close to that 6-inch range, that's when everybody pretty much considers it a winter storm. So it really doesn't matter what happens in your backyard. If you're only getting 2 inches of snow, you know, everyone covers larger spaces other than your particular location. Sarah checking in, wondering about blowing and drifting. The good news is we are not expecting high winds with this storm system. You know, we're not going to be dealing with any sort of blizzard conditions with this storm system. However, we still will have some gusty winds, maybe peak wind gusts between 15 to 30 miles an hour. And, you know, that doesn't sound like a lot, but once you get into these very rural areas out here across northern and central Illinois, it's very open, very rural. Even 15 to 30 mile per hour wind gusts will cause some blowing and drifting snow out across those areas. Jeff wondering how much lake enhancement there could be. It's still in question as of right now. The further south you go, the south end of the lake area, it's probably going to be low side enhancement. The enhancement is really going to target more so pretty much from downtown Chicago northward up into Lake County, up towards Racine and Kenosha in southeastern Wisconsin as well. So that's what we're going to be dealing with in general regarding the enhancement for those areas. Lindsay wondering if this could still shift. Yes, this most definitely could still shift. This is really not going to get going until overnight tonight and as we head into Wednesday morning. There still are several more runs of the weather model guidance to go to. We're still going to have one more forecast update tonight. So yes, it's never set in stone until it's just about to begin. And even then, we've seen, you could still see changes when a storm is ongoing. Weather is not an exact science by any means of the imagination, even though some people out there seem to think it is. It is not. Things could change even during a storm system. We see that during severe weather during the spring and the summer, where all of a sudden it looked like it was going to be a big severe weather day, and then you have one ingredient that was just off by a little bit, and then you get nothing. Weather, is ever changing. And it's something that, we have to deal with overall when we come up with these forecasts. Carrying on here. Jesse checking in from out in Lost Nation area. Yes, you're going to be dealing with some of that snow coming up with the storm system out there to the northwestern part of the state as well. Michelle wondering why the watch was changed to an advisory for some areas. How that works is the National Weather Service usually issues a winter storm watch when they have the confidence that it should be upgraded to a winter storm warning. However, once again, things are always ever changing, and the watch was transitioned to an advisory for some areas, especially northeastern Illinois. And why that happened was because we're not going to get to the criteria of a warning as it looks right now in parts of the state. So that's why you saw that watch go to an advisory and the watch did not go to a warning in some areas. And that is because, like I said, explained a couple of minutes ago, the weather models have kind of come in a little bit weaker with this storm system over the past 24 hours, a little bit drier as well. Luckily, it hasn't changed our forecast too much other than to get rid of that 4 to 7 inch corridor here across central Illinois. Most other areas in our forecast either stayed the same or we actually increased some areas as well. Now, I know some other outlets, I saw some other TV stations and I saw some other social media weather pages that were calling for like 9 to 12 inches of snow. They're really going to have to back off on things because they were going, one thing you should never do when making a forecast is go really high during your first forecasts. You should start low and then work your way up if you need to with your forecast, especially when it comes to snowfall. But there's some folks out there that like to go guns a-blazing, and they like to forecast the high amounts right away. And then this is what you have happen. You have the weather changes a little bit, you see a decrease in the precipitation, and then you really have to back off. So that's something we like to avoid here, which is why we generally like to be conservative at first and work up if needed from there. And that really prevents having to, lower snowfall totals more often than not. But sometimes, as you can see, like with this one, we have had a lower some areas just a little bit. Yes, Jeff, blame everything on Adam Lucio. That is the best statement I have seen in ages. I tell you, he's nothing but trouble, Adam. He's, it's always something with Adam. All right, let's carry on through a couple more comments here. RJ wondering if the Rockford area could move back into the 4 to 7 inch range. We actually have not had Rockford in the 4 to 7 inch range yet. All three of our forecast updates, both of our updates yesterday and then this new one today, we've had Rockford in the 2 to 5 inch range the entire time. Could we see the Rockford area be bumped into the 4 to 7 inch range? I would not rule it out. Peoria, Katie checking in. We have you in the 2 to 5 inch range as it looks at this point in time. Kevin checking in, wondering about the next storm system, which is going to be late Friday into Saturday, early Sunday time frame. Yes, we are monitoring another storm system for then. It could bring more wintry weather to the state, but however, we're going to focus on this first one, and then we'll get to that one after this one moves out. John saying, it sounds like I need anger management, more wasted tax dollars. Good news for you, John. Your tax dollars are not paying me, but if you would like to send me or us some money, definitely do that. We'd love that. And I see a bunch of you checking in now. Kristen, Jonathan, we got Jim checking in here. Regarding that weekend storm system. Yes, once again, you know what? Let's pop it on the screen here for the heck of it. Yes, we do have another storm system that we're going to be watching for. I'll just pull this up very, very, very quickly here. But we do have another storm system coming in the time frame of Friday, late Friday night through the day on Saturday and into Sunday morning. It will also have the potential to bring some wintry weather to the state. However, I'm not really going to discuss this one yet because obviously we have the first one to get to before we get to that weekend one. But yes, there is another storm system late Friday through Saturday, early Sunday that we're going to be watching. And we'll start talking about that one more as we get into the day on Thursday. All right, Maxwell wondering if there's any chance of thunder snow. Quite honestly, I've been looking at the soundings, which is one of the things we look at to get more weather information throughout the atmosphere. I actually showed one of those a little while ago. And honestly, the profiles are not overly favorable for thunder snow with this storm system coming in over the next the next 2 days here. I wouldn't completely rule it out. There might be an outside chance of maybe a very isolated thunder snow occurrence, but odds are we're really not going to be looking at that type of deal as it looks at this moment in time here. Lori checking in Worth, 2 to 5 inches, yes. Sharon from Mantino, 2 to 5 inches, yes. Muhammad checking in from Elgin, 2 to 5 inches, yes. You mentioned AccuWeather has you getting 6 to 10 inches. I could tell you right now their forecast is not looking great for 6 to 10 inches. 2 to 5 inches is where we have you now. Unless lake enhancement can move a little bit further inland, it might bump you up just slightly. Kyle wondering about timing for the Bureau Whiteside County area. Your snow will begin overnight tonight. Pretty much overnight tonight, and it will go all the way through Wednesday night. It'll come to an end overnight Wednesday night into Thursday morning. See, Jenny checking in from West Dundee. Yes, we have you right on the border of the 2 to 5, 4 to 7 inch range. Patrick from Oakbrook, we have you right on the border of the 2 to 5 to 4 to 7 inch range as well. Jennifer checking in along Route 20. You're right on the line of the 4 to 7 inch range. So essentially, if you're ever right on these lines, you could go either way. So if you're right along the 4 to 7, 2 to 5 inch range, you could go either, it's a toss-up. If you're right on the line of the 2 to 5, 1 to 3 to 1 to 3 inch range, it's a toss-up. But notice those ranges overlap. So 1 to 3 and 2 to 5 inches, that 2 to 3 inch range overlaps between both of those ranges. So, anytime you're on the line, it's pretty much a toss-up for what you might get. Always, always, always hedge towards the lower side of the forecast because that's just, how ranges work. You have the full range, but most areas usually end up on the lower side of those forecast ranges. Jacob checking in from McHenry. Yep, you're right on that, very close to that border of the 2 to 5 to 4 to 7 inch range. Liz checking in from Pleasant Prairie. Yep, that's up there in Wisconsin. You're definitely going to be getting that lake enhancement to the snow up there. Probably 4 to 7 inches of snow, but locally higher possible up there. Sarah wondering if it shifts, which way do you see it shifting? It's always really hard to tell. We have no control over these things, even though some people think we do. We do not. So it's hard to say if this will shift, and if it does shift, which way it might shift. Just stay tuned, I would say. Anita checking in, mentioning your school district already called for early dismissal at 12:30 tomorrow. One of the fascinating things I always find when it comes to school districts is early dismissal. So for an instance like tomorrow, early dismissal is kind of pointless because it's going to be snowing throughout the entire day tomorrow across central and northern Illinois, and the worst of the snow is probably going to be from midday through the evening hours. So early dismissal, at a time like 12:30, or I saw another place 1:30, early dismissal is kind of, I'm just going to say it's kind of dumb. If you're going to have early dismissal, you might as well just switch over to a school cancellation or an e-learning day because you're going to be dismissing early, 12:30, 1 o'clock into the heart of the snowfall. So it's really no different if you were just to have your regular school day until 3, 3:30, 4, however, whatever time your school normally would end, your normal school day would end. So early dismissal is kind of pointless and dumb. I hate to say it that way, but early dismissal is kind of dumb, especially in this case, because you're going to be dealing with the heaviest of the snow from midday Wednesday into Wednesday evening for much of these areas, whether you're seeing, the 2 to 5 inches or the 4 to 7 inches. Good question here from Caitlin. Why is Kenosha County, Wisconsin in a winter storm warning, but northeastern Illinois in Lake County, you're under a winter weather advisory? So let me pull that up here really quick. Just give me one quick second here. All right, so these are the advisories and the warnings that have been issued by the National Weather Service. So this kind of bluish purple color, I'm a little colorblind, so this kind of is a borderline blue-purple color for me here. So this is your winter weather advisory across these areas, from St. Louis up in the parts of eastern, central Illinois, and northeastern Illinois. That is your winter weather advisory. Then this pink color, eastern Wisconsin, northwestern Western Illinois, back into Iowa, Missouri, that hot pink color, that is your winter storm warning. So the question from Caitlin is, why is eastern Wisconsin in a winter storm warning, but northeastern Illinois in a winter weather advisory? And both places are expecting similar snowfall totals and lake enhancement to the snow. Well, the difference comes into what each National Weather Service office is thinking is going to happen. So this part of Wisconsin, roughly right here, this is serviced by the National Weather Service office in Milwaukee. Actually, it's just outside of Milwaukee. Whereas this portion of northeastern Illinois right here is serviced by the National Weather Service office in Chicago. So at this point in time, both of these National Weather Service offices have differing opinions as to how much snow is going to fall with that lake enhancement in eastern Wisconsin and northeastern Illinois. With a winter storm warning in effect across eastern Wisconsin, the National Weather Service in Milwaukee that services that area is obviously thinking, number one, the snowfall totals are going to be higher, and the impacts, the travel impacts, are going to be higher. Whereas the National Weather Service here in Chicago that services northeastern Illinois, for those areas near the lake, they are obviously thinking the impacts, travel issues, are going to be a little bit lower, and the actual snowfall totals are going to be a little bit lower as well. So essentially, it's just a difference in opinion here when dealing with these two National Weather Service offices that cover these two different areas. So that's why you're seeing those different headlines, the advisories in northeastern Illinois and the warnings across eastern Wisconsin. Beth checking in from Carroll County. We're expecting you to be into the 4 to 7 inch range across that area. Jameson, Mantino, 2 to 5 inches of rain for your area as well. Jacob mentioning the storm doesn't have the likelihood of intensifying because it's disorganized. It's not that it's disorganized, it's just the interaction with our storm system, with the upper level low that's kind of driving things up in Canada right now. The interaction is just a little bit off right now, which is why we've seen things come in a little bit weaker and a little bit drier on weather guidance over the past 24 hours. But if you go back to about a day or two ago, the interaction between our storm system and that upper level low in Canada was a little bit more favorable, which is why the weather guidance was showing wetter conditions and a slightly stronger storm system. So we'll continue to monitor things as we continue to go through the day today and into tonight to see if we have any more changes regarding things. Rosemary checking in from Cedar Lake, Indiana. 2 to 5 inches of snow out around your area. Jason, Cook County, you could see some lake enhancement around your area as well. Dominic out in Whiteside County, 2 to 5 inches of snow for your area. Jen checking in, timing the Kankakee area. Timing for Kankakee, very early Wednesday morning through very, 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 very early Thursday morning. The heaviest, though, midday Wednesday through Wednesday evening. Wonder Lake going to get some lake enhancement for Amy up there in Lake County, 4 to 7 inches of snow likely. Jessica checking in from Kenosha. We're expecting 4 to 7 inches of snow with lake enhancement for you as well. Could be some locally higher totals. A couple places up there in that lake enhanced corridor could see over 7 inches of snow. Kim wondering timing. It's going to snow for West Dundee. It's pretty much going to snow throughout the day on Wednesday. You mentioned you're a 7 to 3 at your particular school. Yep, it's pretty much going to be snowing the entirety of your time there. Heaviest from midday through the evening hours. Justin Crest Hill, yes, 2 to 5 inches of snow for your portion out there. Right in the Will County area. Dominic out in Whiteside County, we have you in the 4 to 7 inch range. Going to be a very fluffy snow out there across northwestern Illinois. Lori, regarding schools switching to remote or canceling or whatnot, like I said, a lot of districts have their own criteria for what they do. Personally, for 2 to 5 inches of snow, I've always found it interesting when schools close for 2 to 5 inches of snow, given that we live in Illinois and we see this kind of snow frequently every winter. Maybe if you're out there across northwestern Illinois when you're going to be closer to that 4 to 7 inch range, half a foot of snow, that's, starting to get to the point where, I'd start considering, school closing days and whatnot. Now, in terms of e-learning, it's much easier to switch over to that because you're not actually closing the school. You're not actually losing a day of school. So if you don't want to, deal with the nuisance of having, as you mentioned, buses go through the school and children traveling, whether walking to the bus stop or walking to school, if you want to switch over to an e-learning day, there's never anything wrong with that because you're not losing that day of school at least. Students are still doing what they normally would do, at least hopefully, from home. Kane County, Brenda checking in. We have you in the 2 to 5 inch range right now. Cody checking in. How's it going out there in Maple Park? Good little snow on the way for you as well out there. Going to be looking at 2 to 5 inches of snow. We'll see if we have to adjust things at all. Loran checking in from the Loves Park area out there, Winnebago County. We have you in the 2 to 5 inch range, but the 4 to 7 inch range isn't far from your area. Lake County, Dusty checking in. That's where you're going to be getting that lake enhancement to the snow up there in Lake County. We have you in the 4 to 7 inch range, locally higher. Timing overall for the state. So once again, this is actually going to start to get going overnight tonight across northwestern and western Illinois. And then as we move through late tonight and early Wednesday morning, we'll see the snow begin across northern and central Illinois. And actually, let's pull that map back up here. So regarding timing, once again, this is... let me switch over to this. So as we head through late tonight and early Wednesday morning, that activity starts getting going across northwestern, western Illinois. So the morning rush hour for Wednesday, northwestern, western Illinois, you're going to start to see that snow begin. As we head deeper into the morning, you can see it expands across much of northern and central Illinois. As we head into the midday hour on Wednesday, the noon time, be dealing with good snow falling across much of northern and central Illinois. You can see that heavier snow falling from very late morning through the afternoon hours and even into Wednesday evening here. Snow continuing across all of northern and central Illinois. And then as we work through Wednesday night, you can see how this activity quickly stair steps to the east here as the storm system departs here. So once again, going back here, Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday evening, and then Wednesday night, you can see how that storm system quickly departs the area. So by the time we get to the morning rush hour on Wednesday, you're going to be dealing with generally clear conditions across the state by that time. See a couple folks wondering about blowing snow. The winds are not going to be terribly strong. With this, we are not going to be seeing any sort of blizzard conditions with this. However, we could see 15 to 30 mile per hour wind gusts, which could cause, some blowing and drifting. Much of northern and central Illinois is rural. So much of this area is very rural, open land. So that snow, even with just 15 to 30 mile per hour wind gusts, is going to blow and drift around a little bit for those areas of northern and central Illinois. Danny checking in from Ogle County. We have you right near that range of 4 to 7 to 2 to 5 inches of snow. Carry out in Oswego. That's Kendall County, 2 to 5 inches of snow. Elise checking in from Buffalo Grove. Timing for your area, Wednesday morning through late Wednesday night or early Thursday morning. Sherry from Ottawa, out there in LaSalle County, 2 to 5 inches of snow. Jennifer, Round Lake Beach, we have you in 4 to 7 inches of snow. Joshua, yes, we have you in 2 to 5 inches of snow, but you're very close to that 4 to 7 inch range. Marissa, Huntley, Crystal Lake area, 2 to 5 inches of snow. Deb checking in from Freeport, we have you in the 4 to 7 inch range. Yes, yes, yes. Saturday storm, yes, there's another storm coming in from late Friday through Saturday into early Sunday. But once again, we're not really going to touch on that too much right now because our focus is this first one. Once we get past this one, we'll start to look at that weekend one a little bit more. Poppet checking in from down in Shelbyville. Mixture of precipitation in your general area. Maybe a little bit of snow mixing in with some freezing rain, a little rain down in that area as well. CJ wondering the wind direction. Wind direction is going to start easterly, shift northeasterly, and then as the storm system departs Thursday morning, winds will shift northwesterly. Brandon checking in from Poplar Grove up there in the Boone County, McHenry County area, 2 to 5 inches of snow for your area. So really, that is going to be it for now. Once again, this has been an update on the winter storm that we're expecting to impact the state from overnight tonight through the entirety of Wednesday and into very early Thursday morning. As you can see here, it is going to bring several inches of snow to much of northern and central Illinois. As you can see, a large portion of northern and central Illinois will see 2 to 5 to 4 to 7 inches of snow. You folks out towards the Quad Cities, 4 to 7 inches of snow. Rockford, very close to that 2 to 5 to 4 to 7 inch range. Quincy, Springfield, Peoria, Kankakee, Bloomington, 2 to 5 inches of snow. From downtown Chicago up to the Wisconsin border in Cook and Lake County, lake enhancement to the snow, 4 to 7 inches of snow for you near the lake. In Lake and Cook County, locally higher possible. And additionally, we're going to be dealing with some freezing rain as well across parts of central southern Illinois. Right along that I-70 corridor, St. Louis up through close to Danville, Carbondale, Marion, I believe Mount Vernon is included there. Effingham, all of you folks could see a glaze to maybe 1/10 of an inch of ice accumulation as well. So once again, winter storm going to impact the state from overnight tonight through the entirety of Wednesday and into early Thursday as well. So with that said, we'll go ahead and wrap up this discussion for this afternoon. We will have one final forecast update that'll be out tonight. Maybe, just maybe, we'll have another live discussion like this either this evening or tonight as well. I'm not going to guarantee that one just yet, but at least we'll have that final forecast update out tonight, so be on the lookout for that. But otherwise, once again, headline is winter storm affecting the state from overnight tonight through Wednesday and into early Thursday morning. Thank you all for tuning in, and have a great rest of your Tuesday.